Well, this is a test. But is it a test? Nobody knows. Nobody really knows anything, do they? I mean, do you? I certainly don't. We're filming this today. There's only me here. It's being filmed today on an Alfie camera all the way from North Wales. One Life Film It. Look them up on the internet. They're great. This is not a GoPro. That's all I can say. It's not a GoPro. It's not sophisticated as a GoPro, but obviously the image quality is the same. And if you haven't quite got the 450 quid for a GoPro, 150 quid for the camera that's almost as good, and it's Welsh, try about it, think about it, try about it, try harder, just try harder. Just remember, keep away from those. And one thing I can guarantee, broken hips, very overrated. It's Jimmy on the radio. Not sure if the copyright situation is going to impact against this video, so I'm going to turn him off. Good old Jimmy turned himself off, of course. Keep away from smack. This is not a product review for No More Nails. This is a product review for Thermo Cafe by Thermos, sold at Sainsbury's. And as you can see, it's one of these little sippy cups that people have for in the car. And to be honest with you, when they're in one piece, they're pretty good. This is only a month old, and better still, this is the second one I've bought that's done the same thing. You might not be able to see that, who knows. I'll add a still later if I don't think it's good enough. But basically you've got a piece of stud in there with a thread in it, female thread there, and this screws together obviously righty-tighty, and it's not enough, and it's broken somehow, I don't know, I can't really see, but either way it's the second one I've had that's done it. The first one got dropped, and I thought, well, maybe it's that, maybe it's not, who knows. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to glue it with some Unibond No More Nails. I am of course not sponsored by Unibond or in fact anybody, and this needs cutting off, so there you go. I'll have to fucking edit that out. Excuse the vernacular. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some No More Nails in this groove, maybe on this register as well, and see how it goes. Did I mention I've got a broken hip? Let me give you some advice. There's advice at the end of this video, of course, as there always is, but let me give you some advice now. Don't break your hip. Lots of people do it, and it's extremely overrated. It's nowhere near the amount of fun that people say it is. That better be washed. The other thing about this, I'm not recommending that you do this to your sippy cup, because is this toxic, non-toxic? I don't know. The thing is, you don't drink from this lip. You drink from the inserted bit, which I also don't have, and maybe I'll try and find it now. Excuse me. Did I mention don't break your hip? Here it is. This is my wonderful little wife. You don't drink from this lip. You of course screw this into it and you drink from this lip. So we're miles away from the glue. I suppose the glue could be in contact with the beverage, but you know, life's hard. So I'm going to put a bit in there. That's of course going to interfere with what remains of the stud that's still in the sippy cup. I've not got a continuous bead of this stuff because I suspect that we don't really need that much. And in the end, you know, if this doesn't work, just bloody throw it away. But because they're not that expensive. But what I would say to that is, we as a society are throwing far too much stuff away, and I don't know how it works really, except that of course people are getting rich off it. But how much of this stuff ends up in the sea? You know, I mean, it's bad enough that it's landfill. Don't get me wrong, landfill is wrong. But we have so many people here in Britain on this small island. You know, what else are you going to do with it? So down there, get down there, and a little turn. And you can tell how prepared I really am, can't you? This YouTube video thing is just an excuse for me to talk to myself. For the people that that are actually subscribed, all 17 of us, thank you for that. Obviously it's miles away from making any money, and I have mentioned in the past about the possibility of me being able to use this to actually make a living and then be able to do charity work. Fucking glue in here now, which, you know, you're just going to clear up later. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to put this bowl on top of it. Doesn't want an awful lot of weight on it because that weight will have to be released, of course. So my review of the Thermo Cafe sippy cup from Sainsbury's is it's shite. Don't buy one. Although they are cheap. Right, I'm going to turn off now. Thanks very much. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, just go drag this upstairs and see what we've got. Bye then. Okay, so I'm back. That wasn't too bad. Before we go any further, what about this shirt? What about this shirt? Can you see the back of it? These are my race team shirts. Sidecar Radio, of course, now a little bit defunct, but maybe it's going to make a comeback one of these days. Quality item, fully synthetic, very breathable, made by Happy Dog Image Solutions on the Isle of Man. You can have one of these as it is, this exact type of shirt, exact print, brand new of course, all sorts of sizes, 45 quid, or this shirt with your name on the back for 50 quid, but with my race number, all that. It's exactly the same as we wear under our leathers every single race. Now then, okay, so we did a product review on the sippy cup, which is still there curing, and I've been meaning to do this for a long time. I mentioned landfill and wastage. Did you know, could you possibly believe that we as a society waste up to 40% of the food that we buy in the supermarket? 40%. Not everybody, of course. Some people waste nothing. And it's just a shame that we're not all the same as those people, but we're normal, we're average, and we should try harder. I should try harder. The sell-by date on your food I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure that you realise, helps the retailer. It doesn't help us. If we buy a can of beans, for example, and it says used by, this is January 22, and it says used by December 21, and you look at that can of beans and say, oh, can't use this, it's a month out of date. If a can, any canned goods, if the can is in good condition and hasn't blown out at all, there's no reason why you can't eat the contents of that can, as long as they are edible. But for instance, with the can of beans, you open the can of beans, you put your nose on it, you look at it, you know, I mean, Jesus Christ, but no. The vast majority, you wouldn't believe it, the vast majority of people, households in Britain, would look at that can of beans and throw it in the bin. So you've got the metal in the can, and you've got the beans in the can, the biological matter in the can. You can't recycle either of those. You can't recycle the beans anyway, to be fair, but you can't recycle the metal because it's fucking full of beans. More about this later. There is, of course, some wisdom at the end of this video, as always. Excuse the spectacle, but it's got to be done. I was in the cupboard looking around, as you do, and I found this Christmas pudding. I mentioned this is now speaking to you from January 1922. Those are the days, 2022. And the best before the end of March 2017. Now, many of you will know something about puddings, Christmas puddings specifically, fruitcake, that sort of thing, Dundee cake. And the thing that you must remember is that it lasts forever. Essentially. Now it says here, luxury, fruit and nut, Christmas pudding, 12 months matured. So if that's March 2017 is the end date, 12 months prior to that is 2016, March 2016, and how long was the shelf life? Because that detail is never given to you. It's an absolute swizz, it's an absolute calm, this whole thing about best before and display until. If you've got an iceberg lettuce and it says best display until, you can guarantee that that thing's going to be rotten days, excuse me, days after that has expired, because that's the nature of lettuce. But the nature of puddings is different. Now, I don't pretend to be a dessert sommelier, a pudding sommelier, or even a Christmas pudding sommelier, and these people exist. But, like it says in the Monty Python film, I may only be the Pope, and I don't know much about art, or in this case puddings, but I know what I like. And, yeah, we're going to see now. I've just opened the cellophane top of this plastic receptacle, and the smell, I've got to say what you like about Sainsbury's, because I quite like them. That is superb, absolutely superb. There is, my mouth is watering, because this is breakfast. There is no discoloration, there is nothing derogatory about this Christmas pudding so far. Now, dessert bowl, Christmas pudding, instructions. It says here you can steam this Christmas pudding. Who would do that? 3 minutes in a 750 watt microwave. Right, well, our microwave is 1000 watts, so it's going to get 3 minutes. Or you can steam it for an hour. So that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? You want to talk about the environment and using electricity. But, you know, people are different. So what I don't have a lid for this. And I need to go to the microwave. Did I mention the broken hip? Nothing's easy with a broken hip. So I may edit this out and I may not. We're going to the microwave now. I've thrown my bathrobe on the floor, which of course now is in the way. Come here, baby. There you go. So 2017 is now 5 years ago. We're in January and it says March, so it would be 6 years in March. Out of date, is it? No, 5 years out of date. And also, of course, at least a year older than that, because it says on the wrapper, and you know, we trust the wrappers, don't we? Especially M&M. So it's, you know, it is a 6-year-old pudding. It said 3 minutes. I'm going to put a lid on that because that's the kind of cautious guy I am. Look at that, look at that. Boom. There you go. Okay. Do. Okay, full blast. Fire! Engage, Mr. Sulu. And not only that, I have some Ambrosia Devon custard in here. This is brand new. Sell by date is somewhere. Oh, there it is. Sell by date. Oh, July 23. So we're within that, baby. Don't make a cup of tea, it's not going to take that long. Those few lucky people that know me personally will know that I lost a load of weight in 2021, quite deliberately. I never looked after myself, never really sort of, I mean, I say looked after myself, I used to train like a lunatic, but also eat and drink beer like a lunatic. Oh, sorry, excuse me. So when I was training, and I really was, in my 30s, I was an athlete. When I was training, I used to read a lot about nutrition, and of course you come to realise as you get older that it's actually wrong. Our government guidelines for diet and nutrition are basically absolutely wrong. A lot of talk about the keto diet these days, and basically I've researched I say research, it's a grand word for reading a few things, a couple of books and a lot of YouTube videos. But research is research. And yeah, basically everything you eat is wrong. Well, how can that be? Well, because it is. Well, yeah, but how can it be? Well, because what are you eating? You're eating what you've been told. You're eating what's in the shop. You're eating what your parents ate. That was because it was in the shop. You know, do you remember the phrase breakfast most important meal of the day? Do you know who made that up? A marketing executive for a breakfast cereal company in the 20s. You look at the cancer rates, you look at all sorts of things that really, it's all pointing in the same direction. We're eating the wrong stuff. So I'm keto now, but since I broke my hip, did I mention that? I've had a couple of weeks off and I've just eaten everything in my path. I haven't put much weight back on, maybe 3 or 4 pounds, but you know, anyway, so there it is, still looking gorgeous. Turn her out and she's fallen out like a good one, and can you see that? Absolutely gorgeous. Smells like it should. I'm going to put my custard in. I don't know how long for. I will, I'm sure. Unless I say something really amusing while this is going on, I will edit this down a bit. Boom. Okay. 2 minutes. Okay, full blast. Okay. Boom. Engage, Mr. Zulu. Just did that joke, didn't I? So, what does this prove? Well, it proves that my wife would have thrown that, excuse me, my wife would have thrown that Christmas pudding, would have thrown it straight out, without a backward thought. Just like the tin of beans, the plastic that it's in, and the cellophane, the green cellophane that was around it, recyclable. This is high density polypropylene or high density polyethylene, I'm not sure, and it's completely recyclable. But not when there's a fucking Christmas pudding in it. Imagine. Oh, there you go, Mr. Plastic Man, recycle that. What am I going to do with this Christmas pudding? I think it might muck my machine up a bit. Tell you what, I'm not going to do it. Landfill. Landfill. And the Christmas pudding, even if it was bad, although obviously it was great, it's still great. Maybe it would have been great in 5 years' time. The Christmas pudding, if you don't want to eat it, a pig will eat it. You know, there's always a good path to do with, you know, I'm boring myself. It's very important. It's very important because apparently, as I said to you earlier, 40% of the grocery food that you buy every week is wasted. And that is shameful. And as I said to you before, it isn't everybody. And Marika and I are, we work on our shopping list. And I tell you what, we waste. Wow, that's sweet. You want to get yourself diabetes? This is it. This is how you do it. Anyway, so we sort of think about our shopping list. We work at our shopping list. But we still waste food. You know, do you eat a takeaway? Do you say to yourself, oh, Thursday night or whatever, oh, I can't be bothered to cook, I'll have a takeaway? And that's great. Probably not very good for you, but it's great. You're going to have that and it's a treat and all, they're great. But the food that you bought for dinner on Thursday night essentially is going to get thrown away. Maybe not that piece of food or the steak you were going to have or whatever, not that, but something that you've bought to eat during that week is now going to be surplus to requirements and is going to be thrown away. Takeaways are bad. It's the end of it. Not going to say that again. I have a feeling that you've had all the advice I've got, but we're not going to stop yet. Wow, that is sweet. So I've been on this keto thing for for 12 months, and I thought this is going to be horrendous. This is going to be so hard, and it wasn't. It wasn't. Essentially, you'd only eat carbs. That's it. So, whereas our government guidelines are like 70% carbs in your diet, which is just nuts, and that just makes insulin and makes people diabetic. And if you've got insulin, you can't lose weight because the insulin is there to stop you losing weight. I've forgotten my point, but there you go. So keto, this is the point. Keto encourages you to eat foods that don't trigger insulin. Without insulin, you're able to access body fat. So it's not about calories, it's not about training, it's about insulin and not triggering insulin. So if you don't trigger the insulin, you're able to access the body fat that you're never able to access, even on a really low calorie diet. If you, in those calories, if you're eating a load of carbs, you trigger the insulin, and the insulin is like a one-way valve and stops you accessing the your body fat. And therefore, when you lose weight, sure, you're going to lose some body fat. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because I mean, obviously diets, calorie restricted diets do work. But how many times have you been on a diet, lost weight, and then put it all back on plus a little bit? There's reasons for this. I'm not sure that I want to go any further with this because it's such a big subject and I'm not an expert. I just know what I've done. So, 5-year-old Christmas pudding. As you can see, I'm just a bit short of cable. So professional. Look at that. All the custard. Maybe not. Broken hip. I may do a video on the broken hip. And I may not, for legal reasons. But top marks to Leighton Hospital here in Crewe, Ward 10. All the nurses and the doctors and all the people that looked after me. It was not a pleasant experience, but they did make it as, and you're back, look at that, tolerable as I think it could have been. I managed to, this situation happened on the Monday. I had, unfortunately, the only real bad part of it was I had an ambulance to come and get me, take me into hospital, which was good. Very professional. The ambulance crew were great. But then I had 10 hours on the trolley in the corridor. But yeah, that's the way of it these days. Operated on, that was Monday night, operated on Tuesday. And this is 2 weeks later. And all right, I'm hobbling, but I'm here and I'm at home. So back to the plot. 6-year-old Christmas pudding would have been thrown away by the wife. And that is the best Christmas pudding I've had this year. No doubt about it. There is nothing, not even the smallest thing wrong with that. It's nutty, it's spicy, and absolutely delicious. Luxury fruit and nut Christmas pudding. 12 months from Stewart by Sainsbury's. Best before the end of March 2017. Thanks for watching. I know it's a bit ridiculous, a bit of a funny one. Please subscribe. Please press the like. Have a look at the other videos. It's not comprehensive because I'm not a Luddite, but it's, you know, it's a lot of things to learn. Excuse me. Rock and roll babies. Bye bye now.